talk about She-Ra. She-Ra, Princess of Power, has returned. It's on Netflix. It's a half-hour cartoon.
Yep.
It is not what I expected, but what I enjoy. So She-Ra, if anybody remembers from the He-Man days, is Prince Adam, who is He-Man's long-lost sister. I don't know if it's twin sister, and I might be twin sister, but it's Adora, his twin sister, and she is on another world called Etheria. Pretty much parallels He-Man. She's She-Ra. It's really kind of corny if you stop and think about it. And the original cartoons were pretty bad back then. That said, much like Voltron, I feel Netflix did a bang-up job recreating the mythology, making it for kids and adults. It's really funny at points. It takes a different... it's a twist, where in this one you find out that the evil Horde, which were the bad guys that were the main bad guys in the original She-Ra cartoon, are now who rescued her as a child and raised her to be evil, and to be part of this Horde. Very much I found to be similar to the Star Wars story, with the rebellion and the Horde representing like the Empire and the rebels. Very striking parallels to that. She discovers these the bad guys to them is the princesses. I never understood the fact that there's multiple princesses. There are one cabal of princesses. Whatever. I love this cartoon. What are your favorite things about it, Hambone?
So I absolutely adore it, and I love it. It's now She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So they adjust it a little bit. So I remember seeing She-Ra as a kid, and it was always a girl's cartoon, and I liked it because it was like really flashy colors, and I like little and cute. So I'm on board with anything that's little and cute, and also like friggin' Rainbow Horse, but. This one, she can actually do stuff. Like, that was the thing. And it's something that I was recently watching a documentary on He-Man and the Masters Universe on Netflix, where they went in deep, you saw
it's first. It's a very good documentary.
Very good documentary. First, you saw the He-Man come up in the power and the Toys That Made Us. And this is a thing. It's a full 2-hour documentary on the history of He-Man, the full evolution, where She-Ra came from. And they pointed out something like really interesting to me, which is, and it's something I didn't remember from as a kid, She-Ra could never actually use the sword. Like, She-Ra never actually like hit anybody or did anything with a sword. Like, Adam's got his sword and he's swinging his big sword, but she was always kind of like pirouetting out of the way of like danger. Here, this is a girl who now has to go against everything that she knew to be true. Like, they did this whole thing with like the Horde, like it's everyone's fake news. The princesses are evil. The princesses are the ones that are like evil and ruining the planet. It's not us. The reason the way we do things the way we do is to keep you safe. And so she has to go and kind of unlearn everything she learned. And I really love a lot of the interpersonal relationships on the show, because I'm a big Steven Universe fan. I'm a big fan of like cartoons where they challenge what the idea of friendship is and what the idea of family is. And there's a lot of that happening in this show, and I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate that She-Ra finally gets to be a badass and, like, do stuff.
So in the original He-Man toys, She-Ra toys, the dolls were basically all the same mold of weird littler Barbie doll. And except they had different colored hair. They're pretty much the Divas division in WWE.
Nailed it.
What made She-Ra awesome originally were the bad guys.
Yes.
The evil Horde, which I love the joke about, like, but your name is the evil Horde. No, we're just a Horde. No, you're the evil Horde. But the bad guys in the toy line, Mantenna, Leech, Grizzler, like, they were such great toys. Snout Spout, my personal favorite.
Yes.
These were such great bad guys. And the sad thing was the figures were only released in the He-Man line.
Yes.
So and there was no crossover with that. The bad guy was Catra on the She-Ra side.
Yes.
And they released Bo later, so there was a guy later in the toy line.
Right.
But all the Horde were in He-Man, even though they were not He-Man characters, which I thought was incredibly sexist, dumb, and annoying.
Yep.
But I'm enjoying... I'm not all the way through the series. Do we get to see some of the other Horde members? Do we get to see Snout Spout yet?
No.
Do you think they might be coming?
I hope they're coming. The only one you actually get to see is Hordak. And it's with good reason, because... Season 1's all about like getting the band together. I mean, I see where you are, and pretty much, and it's not a spoiler, they want to try to get the princesses to kind of come together and fight the Horde, right?
And I love that the princesses in this aren't all Barbie doll figure looking.
No.
Like Glimmer is like this little chubby girl.
Yes.
Bo is I don't know. I think he might be gay. I can't really tell if he is or not. He comes off a little bit effeminate, but I wasn't sure.
Definitely effeminate. I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Okay, I don't want to know anything, but he is I love the way they did his character on this.
Yes.
I love that he's different, but everyone's different on this. Everyone looks different. Not everyone looks like an hourglass figure Barbie.
No.
Which was the problem with the original She-Ra figures.
And that's the thing. It's something that I also like appreciated about even the show Glow that they did. It was they have women of all different sizes and all different looks and all different personalities and ethnicities, and they do that with She-Ra, and they do it so well. They do it so well, and the episodes are fun, they're exciting, they're funny, and they tie everything together nicely by the end of the season, where there's a point in the beginning where you don't necessarily get the vibe that everything is so high stakes, but by the end you're like, oh, all right.
You have no idea how much Leech pissed my dad off, because I would suck that action figure onto the TV all day long. There was just giant suction cup.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he'd come home from work and Leech would just be hanging on the TV set.
I used to in the back of my parents' car.
I love those figures. I enjoy the show. One thing that you probably will throw you off a little bit is it's very sci-fi looking, and
Yes.
I think that's. I had to stop and think, because like He-Man's very barbarian-esque. It's based off of Conan.
Right.
But I stopped and thought about it. Like the mech and the technology in it is definitely futuristic in He-Man, and She-Ra as well. They play up more of the fact that this is in the future, and that they would have technology like this. They're talking about old technology as holograms.
Yes.
So you really need to stop and think that this is a futuristic world. There are, where there's sky skiffs and the stuff Man-at-Arms makes and He-Man. Like, clearly they're not in the past if there's technology.
Right.
They play more into the sci-fi aspect here. I think it makes more sense too.
It does.
I also love the colors. The animation is incredible.
It's incredible.
Very much like Voltron and the G.I. Joe Renegade show a while back.
Yes.
It's more of the kind of anime, but not really. More like American anime.
Netflix is crushing it with bringing back these cartoons, and to me, when I heard they were redoing She-Ra, Noelle Stevenson is the girl who's the showrunner. She did the comic, I think, Lumberjanes, and she just, from the moment she started putting out like little sketches and stuff, like people were getting psyched about the new look of She-Ra, and I knew that it was fine, because I think I had just seen at that point season 6 of Voltron Legendary Defender, and they're making great cartoons, and they're really putting a lot of love in TLC. Every one of these cartoons has enough fan service where it's something that is like, hey, if you like this as a kid and now you're an adult, you're watching again, you're like, oh man, that's awesome, I like that. And it's modern enough where it's kind of like respectful and inclusive of everybody. So I cannot recommend this cartoon enough. It's 13 episodes. If you're hungover on Thanksgiving, you could probably watch half of it before you have to go down to dinner.
Yeah, or watch it with the kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you can watch it with kids.
Great show. I recommend it as well. Again, I'm not as far as you are, but watch the first 2 episodes. It's 2-part of the Sword. I love the backstory. I think it's more of a backstory than we ever got in the original She-Ra, and it's just a really fun story.
Yeah.
The other thing is He-Man seems to be making a comeback too. I know Super 7 has a new toy line.
Oh yeah.
That's normal sized He-Man, and then Mondo is doing very, very expensive large scale He-Man. They're like $100+.
Oh yeah.
They're doing Skeletor and He-Man, so it's nice to see that the toys are making a comeback. My big favorite memory is back in the early 2000s. They made a line of He-Man. I think there was a cartoon as well where they made them look much more modern. Same scale though.
That was a great cartoon.
They were done by the Four Horsemen.
Yes, they were.
One of the best toy designers in the market. I actually interviewed one of them. He lived in Montclair, and I got to see him making his sculpts and seeing him what he was doing with the He-Man figures. That was great. They canceled that out of nowhere, much like the G.I. Joe line. I think it was actually too much. I think it was too expensive to make the sculpts and the figures based on how much they were selling.
And that's it. In the end of the day, this is still at a point where, this is pre-Netflix, so if the toys aren't selling, the show's done.
I worry a little. I mean, not worry. It's sad to go to a toy store these days and not see G.I. Joes on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd see that day. I mean, I should assume that, because how many toys from 30 years ago are still out on the shelves, but it's kind of sad not to see the G.I. Joes. I'm hoping He-Man makes a comeback. it's going to be interesting to see how this is. I have a feeling there's got to be plans for a He-Man cartoon if She-Ra does well.
Once She-Ra starts printing money, they're making a He-Man cartoon.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. She-Ra is on Netflix right now. Let us know what you think. We're going to keep watching. I'm going to keep watching.
Перебиты, поломаны крылья, серой болью всю душу свело.